Yas, what's up?
I'm good. I'm excited for today because we are doing something new on Dinner with the Girls,
Fun. It's so fun.
right?
Yeah.
We are doing a recipe swap. So what that means is essentially it is we're taking old comfort food recipes, we're swapping them back and forth between you and me, and we're recreating them into healthy versions. So I'm so excited.
That's like my favorite thing to do. So bringing it here and having each other do each other's recipes, like amazing. Like I'm so excited to see what you created out of one of my favorite crappy recipes. So maybe should I preface what the old recipe was like? Because I used to make it all the time, and then you tell me how you changed it.
Let's dive in. Totally.
Okay. So when I started my health journey, I thought eating healthier was making stuff from scratch. I say this loosely. It was a step up, but wait till you hear what I was making. Not that big of a step up. So I would like scour the Campbell Soup website and like the Kraft Canada website. Okay. So this one was this a Kraft one? Yeah. This one was a Kraft
was it? It was pretty crafty, but this one,
it was Kraft. Yeah, it wasn't. Sorry?
It used Oscar Mayer.
Yeah, so it was
done meat.
It was Kraft Canada, and basically Santa Fe chicken. I was like, oh, I'm so healthy. It was like white rice, a can of like black beans with like so much salt in it. Like I feel like a pound of like pre-shredded Kraft cheese. So like it's not even really cheese, I don't think, some like Taco Bell in the package, like taco seasoning, like, and like chicken, and like chicken that I was buying for like, I don't know, $3. That was probably not the best chicken. So I was like, look at me eating healthy. And then I was like, not so much. So now I pass this recipe on to you, Yas. So show me what you did.
Awesome. Yeah. And, because it's our first one, I just want to share the love of redoing recipes. Like, there was a time in my life when I really didn't know how to cook, and like people that know me, family, they used to know that I really like didn't know how to cook at all. And the fact that I'm even talking about cooking on a show, they would laugh. So I get what you mean about redoing and realizing there's actually a process to where you get to a place where you really make it better and fancier. And I have to say, redoing recipes, it's an art. So it's not going to be perfect the first time. So I have to admit, this is the second version of the redone recipe.
I love that. And that's all of that is what is so true. And I think just to interject quickly too, to compare ourselves, because, that's what a journey is. I couldn't cook anything. I could cook Kraft dinner and grilled cheese. And I made a mean bag of ketchup chips. So like, it's such a journey, right? So like, it's like these little steps. So I'm glad that you did it twice. That's, you know what I mean? To even get it to where you need to be.
Well, and the biggest thing in this recipe is the chicken. So, and that's, I'd say, one of the biggest changes that I needed to make, because, when you buy like pre-cooked chicken, it's so processed. It's more processed than we need it to be. So, of course, I wanted to use pasture-raised chicken, and I'll get into why, in a bit. So that was my goal. And the first time around, we kind of roasted the chicken and, tried to do some flavorings, but it was kind of dry. So this time around, I'm really excited what I did.
Okay.
Slow cooker. Yeah. So I found kind of another version of a Santa Fe chicken that, it kind of inspired me. And then I made it my own. So essentially we got all the Santa Fe ingredients, black beans, corn, the tomatoes, the spices, and then you're just putting it all into a crock pot. And I can even pop up a few pictures here because I've got a couple of the process. And right near the end, you're just shredding the chicken. So then it kind of, and then it makes a nice big amount, makes 8 servings, this recipe with 4 chicken breasts.
Amazing.
Yep. You might just have to adjust the liquid of this recipe depending on what you're going to use. I'm putting it on rice. So you can see this picture. We'll put it up of what I'm eating today. So I have wild rice and I've put the Santa Fe chicken from the slow cooker on top, and I've topped it with a tinge of cheese. So I've done a little grass-fed cheese because Santa Fe seems like it always calls for cheese, and some cilantro that I love. But you'll notice on the side of the plate, I've got some grass-fed sour cream, but you could also use your vegan sour cream, and some avocados, like guacamole, so just to jazz it up, make it kind of fancy looking. And this would lend itself to a weekday meal, because it was so easy. And you could put it on tortillas and change up the toppings, make it fun. So the piece about why the pasture raised meat matters is hands down, it has to do with inflammation in your body. So if you have inflammation going on in your body, you must not eat grain-fed animals. Their diet matters. It matters for how their bodies are, filled with fat. Is it going to be good fat? Is it going to be bad fat? Is it going to be inflammatory fat? So what they ate matters, pasture raised all the way. So that's one of the main reasons why I decided to change the chicken, because this also helps with the digestibility of the chicken. I've noticed a lot of my patients over the years, they come to me with a lot of gut health problems, and they eat a lot of meat, and they can't believe that switching over to the grass-fed or pasture raised would make a difference, but they always come back. They're convinced, and they stay eating it because they know it makes them feel well and it doesn't, wreck their system. So that's it. There we go. That's how I made it over.
I think you did absolutely amazing. And even when you were talking about adding either, a grass-fed sour cream or my probiotic sour cream and the avocado, you're just, again, elevating the nutritional level. So yeah, you're jazzing up the plate. But if you're adding the vegan one, you're adding, again, that fermented probiotics. But even if you're not, you're adding different fats with the avocado. So it's gone a long way, exactly, from my deli meat Oscar Mayer, on white. And the rice is minute rice that I was using, Uncle Ben's minute rice. Is that rice? We'll just leave it at that. So
yeah, my wild rice definitely took me almost an hour to cook. So it wasn't minute rice, but it's so flavorful. It's so good. So anyways, first bite, this is literally me tasting it all together for the first time, and it is fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So again, what's super exciting is in our ebook, again, you get all of the recipes, that we're doing on this season, but we're also posting the inspirational recipes. So you guys will be able to see the change, right? So you will see the original recipe, and then you'll get to see what we've done. Because I think that's helpful, just to help all of us get inspired moving forward, seeing recipes we want, being I think I could do this a different way, right? So
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, I'm so excited for the recipe I've given you. This recipe, oh my gosh, I have eaten this a million times in my life. Shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
Reminds me of home, reminds me of family, reminds me of being full, and having something really hearty and filling you up. So I'm so excited to see what you've done.
It was so fun. And same thing. My mom always used to make shepherd's pie, growing up or whatever, and just very hearty, very cozy, very comforting. I think I have an emotional tie to it. So, that's very soothing. So let's start from the bottom up. Plant-based. Okay. So took out the ground beef. And what I did was, I'm going to keep it clean, a crap ton of mushrooms. And I used tempeh as well. So now we've created this rich base with mushrooms, which are generally very meaty when you're doing, in the plant world or whatever. And tempeh, that when you crumble it, has that texture of ground meat. So I'll pop up the picture so you can see it better here. If you look at the meat on the side there in the photo, it looks very ground beefy. So that helps give the comfort and the texture. So you feel like you're eating, you know what I mean? That emotional connection to shepherd's pie. And while you're cooking the mushrooms, the cooking process is very easy. You're making a rich gravy to go with it. So there is no shortage of bubbly gravy. So when we're cooking this up, that's how you know it's done, when everything's bubbling. So visually, it is the full package, right? But it's very different nutritionally. And it's a very good way to kind of make that swap, for a given meal if you want to add more plants and more nutrition. So it is a bit of a longer recipe, I will say. As much as I love creating in the kitchen, I don't love long, tedious recipes. Like, they're not my favorite thing. So what I did was I prepped it the day before. So I did all my chopping the day before. I chopped like the mushrooms. I chopped the onion. I minced the garlic. I even pre-crumbled the tempeh and just put it in like a glass container, because that felt easier for me. And then day of, you just kind of stacked all the ingredients along the side there, because there's quite a long ingredient list. There's a lot of seasonings and whatever. And it was just easy, because you're like, boom, boom, no washing, no cutting. And then I was like, this is where I like the whole balance thing. Do I really want to dice carrots, dice green beans, like wash peas and whatever? So you know what? I pick up a frozen organic veggie mix at Costco. Done. So it's those little corners that you cut. The veggies are flash frozen. They're still nutritious. They're organic. So I found a way to cut corners for making like more, a meal that is a little bit labor intensive. And
I just want to interject. I'm pretty sure that that's what we used anyways in most of our shepherd's pie, was the frozen corn.
Yeah. And us too, but this is a way to elevate it. Exactly. Because now you're just getting, not the pesticides and everything like that. You're getting the organic one. And so exactly, it doesn't have to
have the same feel,
Yes.
Having that, yeah.
That's why I wanted to create that retro thing. Like, I didn't want to necessarily create like an elevated dish. So we wanted like a comfort shepherd's pie dish. So it's not, I want to say very minimal changes, big changes, but it feels very minimal because it really comes together.
Nice.
So the creamy, rich potatoes, all of that. And the good thing with this is you can make it in a 9x13, right? Like a big pan of it. So what I did is I made it in 2 8x8s, because we are going to eat, obviously I'm going to have some tonight, and then I'll have some for the week. And then I'm freezing a whole one. And then if I'm going somewhere for dinner and I need to bring my main with me, or someone's going to pop in, or it's a weeknight and I'm like, what am I going to make? You can make them separate, and you can even do individual ones. I've done that before. The little, like whatever they're called, the ceramic smaller containers, the ramekins, you can do even mini ones. So there's a lot you can do with it.
I like recipes like that you can, you get the leftovers and you get another meal. So it makes the labor intensive part worth it.
Worth it. You're right. Just like yours. You said you have 8 servings there. Like, that's amazing. And I just want to say too, because we all eat differently, and that's something to be embraced, everybody's individuality and what works for our bodies. So in terms of me making this with plants, well, first off, it's because I am a plant-based eater myself, right? There are ways that you can still do it. If you still want to have that meat, then absolutely, by all means, go for a grass-fed, as you always talk about in our past episodes. However, a couple reasons to think about working more plants into your diet. There's no such thing that you have to be plant-based or you have to be a meat eater, right? That balance, you talk about that too, Yas. So I don't know if you've heard of the blue zones. I am personally obsessed with the blue zones, right? So there are 5 blue zones across the world, and these blue zones house people that live the longest in the world. Okay, they have the highest centurions per capita, and these people live healthy, happy, beautiful, vibrant lives. So one thing that they all have in common diet-wise is less meat. So it's very interesting. So not all of the different blue zones are plant-based completely, but 95% of the time within the blue zones, the meals are plant-based diet. And for the blue zones that do consume meat, obviously it's very different meat. It's local, all of the pasture raised, etc. But we're talking 7 to 8 times a month. And it's as an accompaniment. So when we think here, we're having, let's say, a steak dinner, whatever, beautiful grass-fed steak, some potatoes, some veggies. The steak's usually the main, right? The chicken's usually the main. So starting to think of meat as an accompaniment, starting to think of meat as not the main dish can be very helpful too when you're looking to shift your health. And even you can make a hybrid shepherd's pie where you can do half the mushrooms and the tempeh and half the grass-fed ground beef, right?
Amen.
Yeah. So just a beautiful, reason to keep in mind, modeling around these beautiful blue zones. Like,
yeah,
they're doing it right. And it's not a fluke that 95% of the time they're eating plant-based with accompaniments of meat.
Totally. Yeah. I love the explanation. I've, learned a little bit about them over here and there, but I haven't totally studied or know exactly what they're eating. So that is super helpful because you want to live long. Look who is.
That's it. There's a beautiful book, Healthy at 100. I just love it. It's a book all about the different blue zones, and it goes into, everything about not even the food, just the lifestyle and everything like that. It's a really good read. So if anybody hasn't read it, I highly recommend that book, and it reads beautifully. So
nice.
And lastly, as I take my first bites of this, it is just so fulfilling. There's the frozen corn. It looks exceptionally meaty. There's gravy in there. I'm telling you, it's just so satisfying.
Oh, I can't wait to try this remake. Amazing. Cool.
So that was super fun. I'm super excited that we have a couple more remakes coming up this season up our sleeve. And I encourage you guys, anybody that's watching, if you have a recipe that you'd like to challenge us to remake, pop it in the comments. We'll see what we can do. I say challenge accepted,
Bring it on.
Okay, well, I'm going to go enjoy some cozy shepherd's pie, and I'm going to see you guys really soon.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, take care. Bye, guys.